Thanks for tuning in today. Pipeline Industry School. We do lots and lots of these webinars. I think we're up to 144 videos now. So if you Google YouTube Pipeline Industry Guild, you'll see a whole page of infinite knowledge of the pipeline industry. Twice as many episodes as the Game of Thrones in terms of how many videos we've got now. And I think we're a lot more interesting, but we don't kill as many people, thank goodness. Same way as reading New Civil Engineer was almost like my backbone of when I graduated. I think we should be getting every graduate watching these because it's one hell of an education in terms of what we learn from them. Today we've got Steve Vick International with Shelley Butler and Tom Gray. They won the Land-Based Technology Award for this year down in London earlier on. Some awards are high tech, and some awards, they basically do what we do every day but do it better. And I think this is an excellent example of that. Anyone that's tried to cut large diameter steel or ductile iron pipes in the past 10, 15 years will have used one of the Steve Vick keel cutters, and they basically took that technology and used it now for large diameter PE joints. Hopefully we've got a next hour of interesting conversation about how it works and how they've developed it. Over to you, Shelley.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. So my name is Shelley, and I'm part of the sales and technical support team here at Steve Vick International. And I'm here with Tom Gray, who's our technical manager. So today we'll be presenting and answering questions on our award-winning large diameter PE pipe cutter, which was an NIA-funded project in collaboration with Northern Gas Networks. But first, I'd like to give a small introduction to the company. So Steve Vick International has been part of the gas, water and nuclear industries for over 40 years. In 1981, Steve Vick, after leaving Scottish Gas, set up his own company from a garage in a tiny village near Bath. This is an early photo of Steve outside of Harrods, and as you can see from the guy in the trench, it was before PPE was even thought of. The first 3 years saw the introduction of live gas mains insertion products, and in 1990, the company then moved to a building in Bath with a handful of staff, and the directional drilling side of the business began. In 2002, with the start of the 30/30 programme, the company refocused the business on services to the gas distribution industry. And this led us on to further innovations of pipe handling and cutting equipment. In 2014, we then moved to larger premises in Bradford-on-Avon. And with the company continuing to grow, we have since taken on further buildings in the area to support our contract services and smart tester departments, and are now at over 100 staff across the country. As you can see on the map, we now also have depots in Leigh in the northwest and a new depot in Slough which opened this year. We also have satellite depots in Blaydon, the West Midlands and Witham to support our contract services side of the business. And we are looking to take a depot on in the east in the future. Now moving on to the main event, I will talk about why and how we developed our PE pipe cutter. Cutting large diameter PE accurately is difficult, and existing technology comes with health and safety concerns. A handsaw is safe, but can be extremely laborious and time-consuming. And other handheld cutting devices have become non-preferred in a trench environment. An existing product in our range is the keel cutter, which can be used for this application, but it's prone to slipping on the pipe's smooth surface. And the circular cutting disc, leads to a machine that sits relatively high in profile on smaller diameter pipes. The keel cutter is also designed for metal, making it slower and heavier than a device is optimized for use on PE. We were approached by Northern Gas Networks in late 2020 with a challenge of finding a new method that is safe, accurate, and cost-effective. And with innovation being at the forefront of our business, we set ourselves 2 additional goals of making a low-profile machine to reduce excavation size and ease of setup in all conditions. We developed the design over 18 months using our mill and lathe to rapidly prototype components as our ideas evolved. This then allowed us to move through concepts quickly without external delays from suppliers. As part of this work, we created a custom pneumatic control system to meet the required safety standards. This led us to our final design. Rather than a circular disc, the machine uses custom mill tool attached to a 1 horsepower pneumatic motor. To perform a cut, you first plunge the motor into the pipe where it automatically locks in place. You can then begin cutting by pushing the machine around by hand. When the cut is complete, you simply turn the lever over on the front and the unit releases from the material. The machine is mounted on a tailor-made chain designed specifically to maintain grip on a smooth surface, and will cut any size diameter pipe by adding additional chains, a very similar concept to our keel cutter. The motor is powered by a standard site compressor, and we're also developing an electric version which is more favourable within the water industry. An extra feature is the exhausted air from the motor is used to generate a vacuum, which draws 98% of the swarf away from the cutting area and into a bag located in the tin. This reduces the amount of microplastics introduced to an environment, which is also more favourable within the water industry. Our machine can tackle pipe larger than 250 mil in diameter and with a wall thickness of up to 70 mil. You can quickly change between cutting tools depending on the thickness of the pipe you are cutting. On the left, we have a thick 800 mil pipe that we cut in just over 5 minutes. And on the right, we have the machine on a field trial at site in Chelmsford. This was a 400 millimeter pipe and cut in just over 2 minutes. 8 initial units were made as part of the development and are now being trialled and tested in Switzerland, Denmark and the USA, as well as across the UK. Feedback from the tests has fed into our production model that is now available for hire. This development has allowed this product to make a positive impact across not just the gas, but also water and the broader utility sector. Apologies. The cutter is safe, accurate and easy to use, and we have a patent on the design due to its unique cutting method. This successful innovation has now been approved within NGN and will soon be adopted by the other gas distribution networks. Considering the Tier 2 and Tier 3 replacement programme in the remainder of GD2 and looking towards GD3, the GDNs have very much welcomed the timing of this product coming to market. Thank you all for listening. I'll leave our contact details on the screen should you wish to contact myself or Tom after today's presentation. But does anyone have any questions you would like to ask us now?
Thanks, Shelley. There's nothing in the chat at the moment. If anyone's got anything, then please post them. Julie's just come up with one. What's the next product developments for Steve Vick?
So currently we're working on a small diameter window cutter used for accessing services in the garden, which allows you to keep the excavations in someone's garden down to a small scale. This will create straight linear cuts, and then the circumferentials will be finished off with a reed cutter. And this reduces the fatigue on the operator. It means that it can be operated remotely from outside the trench, so no one has to work in a confined space or anything like that. So that's something we're working on at the moment. It's really interesting and is nearly there, to be honest. We're not far off field trials now.
To answer your question, Julia, anything else to follow up? If not, I'll pass on to Mike Straton. Mike, you got your hand up? Do you want to join the group?
Yes, thank you. Thanks, Shelley and Tom. Couple of questions. What's the weight of the unit?
Overall, it's about 20 kg, including the tin and the actual motor itself. To handle the motor on its own is probably under 10 kilos. Right.
Okay. And I take it the removal of the swarf is to stop overheating. Is that right? Do you have any issues with that, particularly on the thicker walls?
Yeah, that's correct. No, we don't really have any issues at present. Obviously, we're still testing a lot of different wall thicknesses. But basically, the cutter's designed with chip breakers. So that breaks up the swarf even smaller, allows it to excavate from the slot, and then that gets drawn away by the vacuum. So that means keeping the tool cool and the swarf away. We don't have to use any cutting fluids or anything like that. It's all dry cut.
Yeah, and I guess the client likes it because you haven't got plastic going into the trench and all the sustainable bit as well. Okay, and the third question, I suppose, is the one we're probably all wanting to know, is how much?
But at the moment, they are only available for hire. Due to it being such a new product, we wanted to keep, obviously with prototypes possibly changing as you know, they're out in the field.
Right.
So the hire is around £74 a day for the hire. And like I say, it may be in a year or two time, we do start look at selling them.
Yeah. Is that only available from yourselves, is it, at the moment, or have you got?
Yes. Yeah, at the moment,
Okay.
yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Cheers.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mike. Just quick follow-up question in there for myself. Did you mention that how big a diameter you can go up to and the wall thickness?
So the maximum wall thickness we say is around 70 mil, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then I think what's the biggest diameter we've cut?
I don't know what the biggest diameter is actually, but basically we've got a load of additional chains. And something I should say we're working on at the moment is obviously the larger diameter you go, the more chance you've got of running off like a straight cut. It doesn't happen very often if it's set up correctly, but basically we're making some guide rings, so there's no real limit to the diameter. You just keep on adding additional chains, use a guide ring to follow it around. So yeah, that is something we're still testing at the moment and working on.
That's probably a good point. Kevin Bird's put a question up. Does it have a ratchet crank type system to accommodate differences in OD or the chain element size for various SDR ODs?
Yeah, so basically the chains have hooks either end. So there's one chain that's always connected to the body itself, and then you have additional chains, and on each one of those you have an axle, and you can attach the chain to any part of that axle, so you have a lot of variation in each chain, as well as a threaded bar to do up the adjustment and get the tension on the pipe.
To answer your question, Kevin? Hopefully it does. Julie, I've got yours, but I'm just going to go on to the next one down because I think it's related to the last question. They're coming in thick and fast now. I can't even read them as fast as they're coming in. The screen's just jumped as I was trying to read the last one. How accurate is the cut line? How square is the final pipe end? That's from Mark Smith.
Okay, so the guide rings on the bigger diameters will help it. It is all down to setup, but normally you end up like with a spot on cut basically. If you were going to butt fuse it, you would put it in a machine and face off the front anyway. But if it's going into a socket or something like that, electrofusion socket, it's well within tolerance.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Julia, is it suitable for water as well as gas?
Yes. Also, I should say, I think Shelley did say that we are working on, because we know some water sites prefer electric. So something we are working on is electric versions of the PE cutters as well. But yes, it is suitable.
I'll throw on a one in myself there. Barrier pipe suitable?
Yep, no problem with barrier pipe.
Will put up, you mentioned it being adopted by the other gas customers. What are the barriers for the water industry? Or is it being accepted in both industries?
No, I think it's just because it was an NIA funded project with Northern Gas. Obviously I think it's slightly different with getting products into the gas sort of networks. There's more trials and things to be done. Obviously with water, they can, they would look at the machine and check it was obviously safe for the job they were using. But yeah, we've had it on site with some water companies already and had some really good feedback as well.
Good. Mike, still got your hand up. Is that from before? Or
No, I've got another question actually. You mentioned that the maximum wall thickness is 70 mil. Would you be able to extend that to over 100 mil? Diameter, you've said you can just add links, can't you? Do you lose accuracy with that though? As it gets bigger and bigger, you can always extrapolate to a point, but then sometimes you can't keep going, can you? Do you have any idea on that?
That's why we're looking into these guide rings basically to create a good guide around the pipe. And on certain situations where it might be very, very thick SDR, we are looking at perhaps going around with a smaller cutter first and then introducing a longer cutter afterwards.
Yeah.
So it does require going around twice, but it does mean that you can cut those SDR pipes that you want to.
Yeah, I was thinking 2.5 meter diameter is what I'm thinking. 110 mil wall thickness.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that if you can supply some pipe, we'll see what we can do, and we'll extend our cutters and stuff.
Okay, and just one other question. There's different types of polymers coming on the scene now. High temperature polymers, RCs. No issues with cutting any of this, I guess, because you've said barrier pipe will cut okay with it. I guess there's nothing that you've had in it that you haven't been able to cut accurately yet. Then.
No, not yet. No.
Okay, thank you. Cheers.
Probably a side issue, Mike, but if you're joining 2.5 metre pipe 110 Will Wharf in this, we want you to do a presentation next year on that one.
Well, it's the fabrication place out in Norway I'm thinking about.
It'd be nice to hear about it though. If you do get that sort of size and diameter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll Jonathan's on as well. We'll take this into the business and see what the view is. But yeah, thank you very much. Cheers.
Another one from Kevin. Is it okay with P100, P80, P63?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
And Lou, would it be possible to share the presentation slides, please? I think we actually, at the end of this, the recording's been recorded, and as I said at the beginning, it'll be on the in a couple of days. If you just Google YouTube Pipeline Industries Guild, the whole video will be on there to be able to be watched again by anybody who missed today or came in late. I do appreciate. We're probably going to finish a little bit earlier than what we thought, but I think it comes down to what I was saying in the beginning. It's a simple product, but it's an obvious step forward, and you can see the potential use for it in the industry.
We'd happily share the presentation if people want us to. That's not a problem if that's easier as well. We can do that.
Yeah, Shelley and Tom have got their emails there. By all means, get in touch with either of them, and hopefully they'll be able to give you any information you need. Any other questions? Is that everything from everybody? If it's not, just like to have 2 minutes just to mention other things we've got going on. I mean, probably the most obvious one after this is we've got a factory visit to early access, used to be GPS, on the 22nd of November for anybody that's interested in that. We've got webinars coming out of our ears. Literally net zero transition panel on the 24th of October. We've got a Roundhill sewage treatment worksite visit on the 26th of October. That's my birthday, so that's going to be my birthday treat if you're as sad as me. Pipeline Industries Guild Northern dinner on the 3rd of November. That's a great do if you can make that one. We've got a webinar on the Guild and EDI, Equity, Diversity and Inclusion on the 7th of November. We've got a webinar, De-risking of hydrogen pipelines on the 9th of November. We've got a webinar, Pipe Burst and Failure Prediction for Water Utility Companies on the 14th of November. We've got a William Johnson, basically bolts and gaskets factory tour on this November the 16th. That will be done presumably by Willie Milligan, who is an absolute pleasure as a speaker. And it probably doesn't sound the most exciting of subjects, but if Will is giving it, he will make it exciting. And that's just within the next month. By all means, have a look on the Pipeline Industries Guild page on events, and you'll see what's coming up in the new year as well. Hope you had a good dinner time today, and thanks for listening to the presentation. And thanks for giving the presentation, Shelley.
Thank you, everyone.
Cheers. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.